In this video, we're going to focus on how we can make our span gap. As you can see here, we have a span gap here because there's no data here, but we are still drawing a line here and making it a dashed line, and then also highlighting it with a background here, basically indicating that we don't have really data here, so we're just making a projection. So what is very important with this one here is that if you would have two values here, these colors will overlap. Let's start to look how to do this. Let's start to look how we can add dotted line and a background color if there's no value in our data points or in our line chart. So first thing what we're going to do here is to get the default code, which you can find on Chartjs.com getting started, this specific link here above, which you can find as well in the description box. Once you're on the site, copy this entire chunk of code here, and if you want to understand what this code does, make sure you watch this video here. So then I'm going to paste that all in there. I'll cut out this here and then put it all in here, save, refresh. So now we have this, and the next thing what we want to do is convert it into a line chart. So I'm going to scroll down here, I'll say here, type will be a line chart, and then here for the border width, I'm going to convert it into a tension, so we have a elastic line of 0.4. There we are. Alright, so now we have this, and what I want to do is I want to put in some gaps in here. So if I put in here, for example, a null value, and here as well, null value, and save that, we have now what we call here gaps in our line chart. And what we want to do now is to make a dotted line out of this here. So how do we do that? Well, basically, first of all, we must say we want to activate what we call the span gaps. So we say here span gaps with a P, sorry. And we say it equals true. By default, it is set on false. If I refresh this, there you are. So what happens basically, it will make an estimate in here. Of course, as you see, there's no data point here. So only the tooltip is here and here. So let's start to look here now what we want to do, or at least what I want to do is to make it more nicer. I'm going to duplicate this multiple times. Let's do it like that, put a comma here, alright. Then here I'll paste this as well twice as well. There we are, save, refresh. So we have a huge amount of data here, and you have multiple span gaps that we want to cover now. So what we're going to do here, to convert this, I want to use first here a constant, and this constant is very important for us because it's like an if statement in this constant that will check if a value is undefined, or in other words, does it have a null value, yes or no. If it has, we want what we call dotted lines on that to highlight that this is basically an estimate of a non-existing data point. So let's start to work. I'm going to say here skip, then I'm going to say equal, and I'm going to say here ctx, comma, and then we can say here, we can basically say the value. Then here as a callback function, not even a callback, this is a if statement basically. And then we're going to say here, and this is very important now because I'm going slightly ahead of myself, I noticed, but the ctx refers to something else. And let's start to go back here, put an enter here, and then just do that first before I even get ahead of myself. So I go in these segments. So basically what we really want to do here, segment without the S, basically what we want to do here, every of these, this item here, the line from this point to that point, or basically here to here, is one segment. So from every tick, this between it is what we call a segment. In this case, this segment here has no tick or has no data point, so these two here are basically missing. And what we want to do now is to analyze, does this two here has a value, yes or no? If no, then make this border dashed. If yes, make it a solid border. So that's basically what we're doing here. So for this, in this segment here, I'm going to say here ctx is a callback functionality, and then what I want to do here is the following. Let's do it like simple. I'm going to put here callback functionality, so the function error expression, and I'm going to say skipped, which is our constant that we're going to refer to. And then all I want to do here, if this is the case, I'm going to say ctx, comma, if it's skipped, I'm going to say here 5.5 as a dash. So basically we're going to do here a dash, and I realize here I'm missing something, sorry. I'm getting ahead. Or I really get ahead of myself, sorry. What I need to say here, border dash, of course. Without that, we're not allowed to do that because normal border dash will give us like these kind of values. But now what I want to do is I want to create an if statement within here, or a statement, to check if we have this case. So if that is true, in that case I want to do this, and else, what I want to do, make sure we have the else here, else just like that. So put a comma here, can put a comma there. This skip, of course, still doesn't work here, doesn't do anything here, but this is basically the skip here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to refer to the skip and send this ctx here plus the value, and this is the value. Oh, where are we? Here's the value. So what I'm going to do now is the following, and all I want to do now here is basically check. So how do we check this? We can check this basically by saying ctx dot, let's say p0, which is the starting point 0 dot skip, and then we can say here as well for the second one, which is basically point 0, which is the starting point here, and point 1 here. If one of those are skipped, so I'm going to copy this, put it in here, and I'm going to show you as well what this does. If this is the case, so if it is skipped, and I'm going to show you later on what this does, then what I want to do is I want to assign the value. So what is this value again? Well, let's remember this here. There's the 5.5 or 5 solid color, basically a solid dash, 5 solid pixels, and then here 5 transparent pixels. So that makes the dash. So I say here, assign the value. If that is not the case, so if this is false, there is no skip at all, in that case, I just want to say here, undefined, or do not assign anything. Just leave it as it is. So then, if I save this, refresh, alright, there we are. And let me just show you here, just to be sure you have a full understanding of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put here curly braces. And I can put in here an enter, and an enter, and I'm going to say here, console log. I guess I should do this first, but that doesn't matter for now. Console log, save, refresh, open the developer tab, look at here, we can find here the item here, and then we can even check here, skip is false. Go back here. This is the next one. This one's probably also skip, it would be false. The skip is false as well, but this one here is the third value. So I'm going to click here on third object here, and then we should see here skip equals true, which is in this case this point here. So it sees that this going to here, it is true, we have a skip issue. So that's basically what we're doing here. Alright, so I'm going to put this back because what happened is it somehow breaks my dash lines here. So I'm going to put that all back, remove all of this, and put a comma here, I guess, save, refresh. Alright, that is number one, but I'm not done because what I want to do is I want to make sure that the background has a color as well. I saw in the question if the tooltip could also highlight there is no value available. However, I don't know exactly how you would want to do that. There is no tooltip at all in a skipped data point because there's no data point here. So maybe it's in here or there, but I will refer to other video for that. I would personally recommend color this and put a text here. That's it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a color here, by the way. So what we're going to do now is adding this color. So how do we do that? So what I'm going to give it is a plugin. I'm going to say comma here is a plugins and bracket, and I'm going to say skip area, maybe a highlighter or something. I'll just call it the skip area. So this is our plugin. So I'm going to say // this skip area plugin block. Once I have this, I'm going to say constant skip area ID skip area again, and then I'm going to say here when would we like to draw this grayish area or this highlighting area here. Well, in this case, what I would like to do then is I want to draw it before we draw this dataset line. So this dataset line must be on top, while the background should be at the back of this line, which makes sense. So I'm going to say here, before data sets draw, and then I'm going to say a chart. These are the three arguments, although I will be only using the first one, chart args and plugin options. And then I'm going to use a object destruction. If you want to understand object destruction, please check my in my description. There's a link about a video on understanding object destruction in Chartjs. Very, very important. So I'm going to say here constant equals chart, that's the object I want to destructure, and then I'm going to select here ctx, comma, I'm going to grab the data because the data will be essential as well, and finally the chart area, which is very, very important as well. If you want to understand what chart area is, again, in my description, there's a video about understanding the chart area in Chartjs. Very, very useful. So I'm going to say here left, right, top, bottom, width, and height, although we won't be using most of them. And then next, what I want to do here, put a comma, scales, and X and Y. There we are. So now once you have this, what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to say here ctx.save to save all the values above here. So then what I'm going to do here as well is, well, I can do another constant here because we'll be needing one thing here. Because once we get, for example, this index here of the constant that is empty, it will draw this to here. So what I need to do is I need to push it back because, of course, what happened, these two are connecting with each other. So I need to draw the entire area. However, I will show you that later on, maybe. So I will leave that for now. And later on, I will show you so you understand why we're doing that. So then what I'm going to do here is I want to make sure that we can see if a data point is null or basically non-existent, because we have so many here. We need to do this, and we need to do it automatically. So what I'm going to do here, first of all, I'm going to say here, let's start with the basics, ctx dot, and I'm going to say here fill style equals, and this is a background color, so I'm going to assign a background color, and in this case I'll say 0, 0, or let me just get the above value, this one here. We put it in there, and then we're going to say here 0.2. That's it. Alright, so that's the background color, which is a darkish, blackish, transparent color. So next, what I want to do here is to create the rectangle. So I say ctx.fill rectangle, and then here I need 4 values: the x value, the y value, and then I need here the width and the height of the rectangle. So the width and height will depend, of course, on our starting point here, and the x amount of pixels like that there. So what I'm going to do here is the x value, and I'm going to just start with the x value here, and the x value will be eventually this point here, or whatever that point would be here. So what I'm going to do here is to make it very simple. I'm going to say first of all here x dot, I'm going to use a command here, get pixel for value. And that's basically what it does. It will get, once we put in a value, and the value will depend here on the x scale. This is an index 0, 1, 2, etc., etc. So if I would say here, now 1, what happens, it converts the number 1, which is this Tuesday, into a pixel variable. So that's very good for us. So we don't have to calculate it on our own. So the next thing is the y value, which I would say here at the very top, because I want from top to bottom, coloring it. So I'm going to say here top, and the top refers to this here in the chart area. So once I have that one, I want to put in the width. So the width value will be eventually another item we need to look at, because it is not only this value here, it is basically the width of this, but this is in pixels. So if I would do this one here, and if you understand how chart area works in Canvas, this is the coordinates here. They will grab the entire item. However, doesn't matter, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to put in here. So if we say number 1 would be the starting point, you will say, all right, if that's number 1, number 2, and 3, so number 3 would be the ending point. That's what you think, but it's incorrect. Although, don't worry, I'm going to show you later on why. So then once we have this here, I want to put in here the final value, which is the height. So we put in that one in there. I'm going to grab that one there. Alright, so once we did this, we have all of this, and I realized that I have here a capitalized letter L. Don't do that. It should be only on the letter R for the rectangle. So once I did this, I'm going to say here ctx.restore to undo whatever we did above, save, refresh. And as you can see here, what is happening, it goes far more beyond than what we expected. We were expecting from here to there, but in reality, it moves here. Why? Because it calculates the width. And the width would be how many pixels do I need to go from this point to the right side. And the width here, this here, is calculated from the starting point here at the basically the 0 point to here. Because that's the coordinate where this is being drawn on, basically. So because when we grab here the pixel coordinate, it's just the coordinate of this one here, but not the width in comparison to this item here. So let's look, how are we going to solve that? Well, basically, and this is the reason why I wanted to do the tick here, but I don't want to go too fast. So I'm going to say constant. I'm going to say the tick width. Because what we're really doing is we're going to grab this point here, and we need to know how much is this segment here. And what we can say segment or the tick width. The width here to there, but also to the other side. So let's start to look at this right now. So we say tick width here equals. And then we're going to grab here the width. And then what I want to do is divide this by the x value, but I'm going to grab here a specific value because how many ticks we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. I think it's times 3, so it's 21. Well, it's 21. It is not really 21 because the first one and the last one are basically counted as well. We have to remove 1, and we only have 20 segments here, but we have 21 ticks. Very important because this here equals 1, but this one segment contains 2 ticks, and then here again from this to this. So that's why we have to calculate this correctly. So I could say here 20, but that's not really what we need. I need it soft-coded. So I'm going to show you exactly how we can get the soft-coded version. I'm going to say x, let's save that, refresh, open up developer tab, and let's see where we can get the value. Look at this here, and then scroll down here, you'll see somewhere the max value of 20, and that's basically what we need. You can see here the value range is 20, but based on what I've understood, don't use these underscores here. They might change in the future Chart.js development, so don't do that one. Like in Chartjs 4, they probably are fine-tuning this as well. So anyway, we're going to get the max because that is the max amount of ticks. It calculates the ticks, not the pixels. So x.max, that's the one we want. So x.max, that will be the one we need to have. And I'm going to copy this. Then what I'm going to do here is go back and put it back on this here. This is supposed to be tick number or index number 2, 0, 1, 2. So I'm going to say here number 2. But then what I'm going to do is I want to start not there, but I want to start one there. So what I'm going to do is minus that. So once I did that, if I save that, you can see here now our starting point is correct. But of course, our ending point is incorrect. So let's start to do that one. So basically here, what we can do is just the same. We can say here number 2, but then I'm going to say a plus tick width, save. Alright, did it do anything here? I have no idea if that was correct. Let's see. So what I want to do here, oh, of course. So what is going on here? We have the plus tick width. And then what we need to do here, oh, I guess, sorry, we can even do it easier. We just do a tick width. Save, refresh, see if that works. Oh, no, that's not allowed, sorry. So then what I need to do is, I need to do the plus here. We have this. But then what we need to do as well is we need to deduct this from, let's see, do I get that correctly? I need to deduct it from there. We can probably deduct that one. Or, sorry, that is not necessary. Hold on, I'll just check. Sorry, so eventually I had a mind twister myself, so my mind was slightly struggling with this. So once I've organized my thoughts, so this is what we need to do. We have this here, but basically I need to increase this to wherever we want, from here to there. And that is basically number 2 plus 1. However, I'm going to delete this. What I want to do then, of course, is I want to deduct our starting point. And what is our starting point? This one here. And then we save that. Let's see. Do we have that one? We have this. But I feel like it didn't really work out here. Am I correct? This one, that minus the tick width. Alright, that's what we need to do. Let's copy that. Because we need to remove that part here. So we do this, or sorry, this here is our starting point minus the tick width. Am I correct? Yes, there we are. Sorry, this is a real struggle for me. I have to test if this is really correct. So what we're going to do here now is the following. I'm going to start checking here, and I think even this can be done with 2 items. If you start from there, plus 2, that will be, well, alright, doesn't matter. I'm going to start looking at that one, what I'm going to do now, because what we need to do next is, because look how many null values we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to run through all of these. So let's start to do that one as well. So what I'm going to do here, and that's why I have the data here, we're going to do a for, well, not even a for loop, but a map functionality here. We're going to loop through this. So it's a data dot sets, and then 0, because we're working with data set index 0 dot data, and then what I want to do here is we can do here maybe map or for each. I guess they're both possible, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm going to say here this is equals to the data point. So we're going to check every data point. We have the index here, and then we're going to put in here a function arrow expression because we're going to work with a callback functionality, and I'm going to cut out this, put it in here. The reason why I'm doing that is I want to loop through this all, and then we can start to look if everything is correct, because I had a real mind twister just, and let's see if what I have right now is correct. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to create an if statement, because I only want to draw this if there is a null value. If there's no null value, do not touch it at all. There's no reason to touch it. So what I'm going to say here, if the data point equals strict null, so if it's equals to null, in that case, again, cut this. I guess we can put that in here. Then we can start to draw our item. So we have this here, and then here we have a number, and I guess we can do here the index, and we do here, there's also index, and we have here as well index. So we have this multiple times, and let's see if we get the proper design. Alright, and there we are. So slightly tricky, but as you can see, it works nicely. So what I want to do here, final test to see if this is really correct, put a null in here, save, refresh. Alright, now we get something interesting here, because what we have here now is basically a double structure, which is not desirable in our case. So I have to study now how we can solve that one. So I'm afraid I'm not able to find an answer in a short notice here, so I will probably make a separate video for that. So what I will do is, for this case now, I'll just leave it as it is. Let's put this back here. So suitable if you have just only one span gap here. If you have multiple, then you get these thicker text here. So I would say that's the only one here. Once I found the answer for that, I will make a separate video as well covering that. So if you enjoyed this video, I'm going to recommend you another one here, because you cannot put a tooltip here because there's no data point, but you could put text here, for example, saying this is not available or no data is found here. If you want to understand how to create these text here, in that case, I'm going to recommend you this video here on how to highlight the background by the selected dates. And if I look at that, somehow this looks very similar as what I did here. But this one has the date as well, or sorry, this has text as well in here, and that is the one you probably need to know. So make sure you watch this video as well.